Scientists use their senses, seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching, to observe the world. Gotta get my science lab coat on because we're about to do an experiment. The experiment we're going to do today looks at one of the important science process skills. That skill is called observing. So observing is very important. And the more accurate you are in your observations, the more detailed you can be, the better scientist you are. Observations are a very important part of the scientific investigation. When you observe something, you want to use as many of your 5 senses as you can. The observations of sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch all help you gather information about objects and about the world around you. You want to be careful with your sense of taste and your sense of smell, because in science class we never want to eat anything or smell anything unless we know exactly what it is and the teacher has told us it is safe to do so. Very important science safety rules. As you are first making your observations, you should be as quiet as you can and sit as still as possible. And then you can touch things, smell things, move them, shake them gently, and compare them with others. Okay, so the materials we need, according to our notebook on page 5, the materials we need are a small bell or an object that makes noise. So, step number 1, sit quietly and observe the object with your eyes. So here is our object. Okay, we have to observe it with our eyes. So maybe things like, we could talk about color, right? One of our observations might be about its color or colors. Okay. You might make an observation about its size, and there's 2 ways you can do that. You could compare it to another object, okay, and talk about its size that way. Okay. Okay, about its size. Or you can make an observation with your eyes by actually measuring it. Because we have to use our eyes, right, to read a ruler. So we made several observations using our sense of sight. So the next thing we're going to use is our sense of touch. So I'm going to touch the bell. Sorry, I don't have enough bells and couldn't get them to you anyway because of our current situation. But let me make some observations and I'll describe what I feel. Okay, so well, this is sort of, it's a material, but I feel something rough right there, something scratchy. And I feel something scratchy right there. You might recognize that sound. Okay. So this feels sort of soft. This part is much softer than this part. And then there's something in here, something small and hard in there. Did you see that? Wonder what's in there. Maybe you can make a prediction about that. Prediction is another skill we're going to talk about later. And then there's this part. It's very, very hard. Okay, so we've made our observations about touch. Now, this is the second time I'm making this recording, because the first time I made the recording, when I went to do the observations about sound, it sounded terrible. So let's hope this one turns out a little bit better. So I'm going to put the bell a little farther away from the microphone. And the next sound you're going to hear is the bell. Okay? So see if you can describe in words on page 6 what the bell sounds like. So was it a high sound? Really high? Or was it a low sound? How would you describe it? Was it a loud sound or a soft sound? Now we have this little thing in our bell, that little round thing. And what does the bell sound like now? So we've made observations on looking at the bell, observing it through using our eyes or our sense of sight, our sense of hearing, and our sense of touch. So let's look at page 6 in our notebook. We're asked to make observations, and I'm going to ask you to write down 3 things that you observed of how the bell looked. How does the bell look? You could mention its colors. Okay. You can mention measurements. Okay. You can even mention like the materials you see. And then the next thing you're going to talk about on page 6 is you're going to talk about touching the bell. So I described for you the best I could of what I felt when I touched the bell. So see if you can remember 3 things that we observed when I touched the bell. Where was it soft? How would you describe that? Or was it hard? Again, maybe even like the materials, naming the materials. Okay, naming the materials based on what we know about because they touched or they felt like such and such. Okay. And then finally, what did the bell sound like? And I hope that part turned out better than the first version of this video. So what you should have heard was a tinkling sound. Okay, and then you can describe, is it a high-pitched sound? Is it a low-pitched sound? Is it a soft sound? Or was it a loud sound? So once you finished writing down your observations in your notebook on page 6, I hope the teachers will have a few minutes to have the students share their observations and then maybe talk more in general about how observations helped us all develop an idea of what this bell looked like, sounded like, and felt like. Okay? Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.